Set aside the entire ethnic cleansing aspect, and I understand that's a pretty big set aside, but you can set it aside for 1 second and just ask, is Benjamin Netanyahu and the Likud party anywhere near capable and competent enough to achieve their pretend stated goal of defeating Hamas in this conflict? And if you think about it for more than 2 seconds, you realize no, they are not. First off, nobody's really sure how much Israel has spent on this conflict so far. Early estimates were it was going to cost $50 billion to run this war for a year. But Israel's finance ministry is now saying they think they spent that much money in just the first 3 months. Regardless of what the actual dollar value is, what has that money got them? Hamas is claiming 6,000 of its fighters have been captured or killed in this conflict so far. Israel claims its 12,000 fighters have been captured or killed in this conflict so far. It doesn't matter. Either one is a pretty tiny number compared to the amount of spending Israel has done. Every single estimate of how much Israel has spent fighting Hamas over the last 6 months is in the billions, and every single estimate of how many fighters have been captured or killed is in the thousands. You and I are numerate people, so we remember that a billion is 1,000 millions. Therefore, by Israel's own admission, it cost them something in the millions of dollars to just capture or kill one Hamas fighter. The only thing we're still debating is whether or not it cost them like $2 million to capture and kill one guy or $10 million to capture and kill one guy. Either way, they are not good at capturing and killing Hamas fighters. Okay, but death toll is not the only way to measure success in armed conflict. What about Israel's strategic goals? Well, after all this cost and all this equipment, Israel has managed to rescue how many hostages? 3. All of the rest were released either unilaterally by Hamas or in prisoner exchanges. Okay, what about strategic control? What strategic control? What strategy? Israel has already liberated Al-Shifa Hospital twice. They went back to where they already were. They are incapable of holding on to territory. Put a pin in a moment that the way that they liberated it was to blow it to smithereens. Pretend they didn't do that. They still are failing. They cannot hold onto and control territory. 30,000 Palestinians killed in Gaza, and so far only one of them was a high-ranking member of the leadership structure of Hamas. They got lucky. Every single dollar the American taxpayer has sent to Israel for military development over the last couple decades has been wasted. We might as well have just set that money on fire. Their performance in this conflict has proven it. And there's no way that you can make a cogent, logical, big boy, like strategic mindset argument that Israel is using their resources wisely and winning this conflict. Even before the attack on the World Central Kitchen, the IDF had already managed to kill almost 200 UN and other aid workers in Gaza. But those 200 that had already been killed had all been Palestinians so far, because the standard operating procedure for most aid organizations is to pay, train, and equip a local, and then the locals go and do the thing. The locals know the language, they know the area, you don't have to deal with visas and passports, blah, blah, blah. And up until now, Izzy had caught zero consequences for killing aid workers. So I'm not saying that this is what I think happened, because what do I know? But I'm saying this is a distinct possibility that the IDF just said, oh, hey, look, another aid convoy, let's blow it up, and didn't realize that it was full of Westerners. Not just Westerners, but Western white people. And so now, all of a sudden, the world is upset. Anyway, the IDF claimed that it was like a miscommunication or something like that, but that makes no sense, right? Because they had fired on this convoy 3 times over the course of a mile, over the course of like 20 minutes or something like that. The convoy had alerted the IDF earlier that they were going to be in the area. The IDF admits that there was no other firefights or any other vehicles that they were firing at in the zone where this happened. I guarantee you this is going to happen, though. The IDF is going to come back and say, well, in the past, Hamas has used aid convoys as like a ruse. Like they make vehicles that look like aid convoys, but they're actually full of guns. And some smart guy in the press is going to say, that's not an explanation, that's a premise for an explanation. So are you saying that there was a IDF soldier that thought that that's what was going on? Why did he think that? Are you saying the World Central Kitchen was firing at an IDF soldier? Are you saying that they blew through a checkpoint, that they were flooring their vehicle and driving straight at an IDF position? And the IDF will say, we need to complete our investigation before we release more details. And then they're going to come back 2 weeks later and say, we completed our investigation, and it turns out we had intel. We had a confidential informant that told us that that convoy was full of bombs or something. And the press is going to say, why are we just hearing about this report now? And what are you guys doing to vet your reports? Because obviously your quote-unquote confidential informants that totally exist are giving you bad intel. And the IDF is going to go, we need to complete our investigation before we release more details. And it's just going to go over and over and over like that.